how lovely to see you here. Oh, hi, Tristan. Hello, hello. Hi, Barbara. Hi, Aladdin. Hi, Anita. I can't see who it is at the top because it goes missing on my phone. Who else? Oh, I can look this way. Hi, Bernhard. Hi, Peter. How lovely to see you. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't think I should read today. I think we should just listen to this really, really, really beautiful music, because that might be better than me reading, quite frankly. But anyway, hello. Let me turn this off now, unfortunately. Last week, I did put the link to this music up on the Vienna Theatre Project page. So if you want to check it out, then please feel free after the reading or whenever you go. Please feel free. It's called Dune, by the way. If you just plug in on YouTube, Dune, Middle Eastern music, then this comes up and you'll see there's a lot of intermixed Spanish, Middle Eastern flair, the whole thing with the guitar and stuff, because, you know, there was quite a lot. They kind of traveled between each other because they were so close. So there's a lot of traveling going on there, and that's why there's an awful lot of, when you go to Spain, you'll see an awful lot of Arabic influences in the mosaics and so on, because the Arabs were there, the Persians were there for a while as well. And that's about the limit of my history, everybody. So good evening, how lovely to see you. I'm actually going to turn it off now. How's that? No, I'm not. Yes, I am. It's so beautiful, it doesn't want my computer's like, no, please, spare us your voice and let us listen to your beautiful music. So, I do apologise for some of the mishaps last week of Sam not coming on and then Saman not reading one evening. It was definitely a very big week for all of us on a little bit of an emotional level, actually, because we were very involved with the whole Black Lives Matter demonstrations and so on and so forth. And for those of you who want to listen to me reading Maya Angelou, although you should just go on YouTube and listen to the original, because obviously she is perfection, then there's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful rendition that she made. There are a number of them actually, but there's one that's particularly beautiful where she's wearing this black sparkly dress called Rise, and that's by Maya Angelou. So you can read that, and actually also I posted that last week on the Vienna Theatre Project page as well. And oh, thanks for the hearts. I can see the hearts. I'm like, oh, I can see the hearts here now as well. There's always a little bit of delay between the two of them, but it's very, very nice to get them. Thank you very much. Yes. What else did I want to say? Yes, and I read also a very, very emotional story, true story, written by a guy called Steve Locke, who is a professor of, I think it's art or graphic design, one of the two, at a university or college somewhere in, can't remember where, but he basically recounts a story that he had where he was racially profiled, and it's very, very moving and really shows you, you know, it's across the board. So if you want to listen to that, those still are up from last week. And I don't know, I'm going to continue. I'm going to start reading now, I think. I'm actually going to read 2 nights tonight because the 43rd night is only like 2.5 pages long or something ridiculous like that. So I thought I couldn't let you down after such a long time without me, and me having such a long time without you. And I have missed you very, very much. I've missed you. So yes, I'm going to read 2 nights tonight, and I hope you get the feeling. I had this wonderful urge earlier, just listening to this music, to be in the desert, and yeah, and I just felt it was so sort of the idea of the heat and the sand. And hello, Elton. Wavy. It's so lovely to have you on board with me tonight. Who else? Hi, Hassan. Hi, everybody. Wow, it's so lovely to have you all here. Okay, well then, I should probably stop talking and gaffing so much and read finally. I have been up since 4:30 this morning because I foolishly had to have a meeting at 6 o'clock in the morning. So should I suddenly just nod off, then, I don't know, somebody send something to prod me. The dog decided the music was too boring and disappeared off into our kitchen. So we won't get the pleasure of his company and his snorting tonight, I'm afraid. Anyway, but he sends his greetings, so a big woof and a growl from Georgie. Right, so here we go. We are, ladies and gentlemen, now. My name, by the way, for those of you who are listening in for the first time, my name is Joanna Godwin Seidl, and I am a director and actress, and I run the Vienna Theatre Project here in Vienna, in Austria. And welcome. It's lovely to have you here. We decided to read, me and my colleague Saman Giraud decided to read 1001 Arabian Nights while we are all in lockdown. We are actually no longer in lockdown in Austria. It has loosened up already. In fact, my husband is out on the town tonight with his mates. So I've stuck a note on the door into the living room saying, shh, reading. Hi, Tim. So that when he walks in, potentially a little bit drunk, he doesn't make too much noise. So we are no longer in lockdown in Austria, but Saman and I decided that we still wanted to read anyway. We still wanted to read anyway for you guys because there are people all over the world listening in. It's so wonderful. We're so excited to have all sorts of different nationalities and people listening in. And we wanted to carry on reading for everybody. We've still got a lot of nights to go, as you know, as we are only on the 43rd night. This thing takes quite a while. But we are going to get there. And if we're still reading this when we're 80, maybe we'll do that. So, enjoy, everybody. I'm going to send to myself. I have my usual naughty drink with me. It's Austrian grape juice. Very, very fine. And for Elton, by the way, everybody, we have somebody online from South Africa this evening, and he has some gorgeous wines in his neck of the woods. I don't know whether he's in South Africa at the moment. He keeps traveling all over the world. Anyway, this one, for those who don't know it, is called a Grüne Veltliner. And it's a fantastic local Viennese wine, actually. And this was made in one of the vintners just around the corner from where I live. Right, I shall stop scratching my head and I shall start reading. So, ladies and gentlemen, are you sitting comfortably? Well, children, then let us begin with the 43rd and 44th night of 1001 Arabian Nights. And if you remember from the last time, and I'm going to try and get their names right, Ghanim was suffering and had become ill, and he had been separated from Kut al-Kulub. They had been separated from each other, and she was back with the Caliph, and things are not right in the world right now between these two star-crossed lovers. So let's hope that true love rings out at the end of the day and we don't end up in a West Side Story or Romeo and Juliet situation. Well, we'll find out today, potentially. Okay, so here goes. Scheherazade said, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that when the Caliph was angered against Kut al-Kulub, he ordered her to a dark chamber where she abode 80 days, at the end of which the Caliph, happening to pass on a certain day the place where she was, heard her repeating poetry, and after she eased reciting her verse, saying, O my darling, O my Ghanim, how great is thy goodness, how chaste is thy nature. Thou didst well by one who did ill, by thee, and thou guardest his honour, who guard thine become dishonour, and his harem thou didst protect, who to enslave thee and thine did elect. But thou shalt surely stand, thou and the commander of the faithful, before the just judge, and thou shalt be justified of him on the day when the Lord, to whom be honour and glory, shall be Qazi, and the angels of heaven shall be witnesses." When the Caliph heard her complaint, he knew that she had been wronged, and returning to the palace, sent Masrur the eunuch for her. She came before him with bowed head, and eyes tearful, and heart sorrowful. And he said to her, O Kut al-Kulub, I find thou accused me of tyranny and oppression, and thou avouchest that I have done ill by one who did well by me. Who is this who hath guarded my honour, while I guard his become dishonour? Who protected my harem, and whose harem I wrecked? He is Ghanim, son of Ayub, replied she. For he never approached me in wantonness, or with lewd intent. I swear by thy munificence, O commander of the faithful. Then said the Caliph, There is no majesty, and there is no might, save in Allah. Ask what thou wilt of me, O Kut al-Kulub. O Prince of the Faithful, answered she, I require of thee only my beloved Ghanim, son of Ayub. He did as she desired, whereupon she said, O Lord of the Muslims, if I bring him to thy presence, wilt thou bestow me on him? And he replied, If he come into my presence, I will give thee to him as the gift of the generous, who revoketh not his largesse. O Prince of true believers, quoth she, suffer me to go and seek him. Haply Allah may unite me with him. And quoth he, Do even as thou wilt. So she rejoiced, and taking with her 1,000 dinars in gold, went out and visited the elders of the various faiths, and gave alms in Ghanim's name. Next day, she walked to the merchant's bazaar, and disclosed her object to the syndic, and gave him money, saying, Bestow this in charity to the stranger. On the following Friday, she fared to the bazaar with other 1,000 dinars, and entering the goldsmiths and the jewellers' market street, called the chief and presented to him 1,000 dinars with these words, Bestow this in charity to the stranger. The chief looked at her, and he was the syndic who had taken in Ghanim, and said, O, my lady, wilt thou come to my house and look upon a youth, a stranger I have there, and see how goodly and graceful he is? Now, the stranger was Ghanim, son of Ayub, but the chief had no knowledge of him, and thought him to be some wandering pauper, some debtor whose wealth had been taken from him, or some lover parted from his beloved. When she heard his words, her heart fluttered, and her vitals yearned, and she said to him, Send with me one who shall guide me to thy house. So he sent a little lad, who brought her to the house, wherein was the head man's stranger guest, and she thanked him for this. When she reached the house, she went in and saluted the syndic's wife, who rose and kissed the ground between her hands, for she knew her. Then quoth Kut al-Kulub, Where is the sick man? Who is with thee? She wept and replied, Oh, here he is, O my lady, by Allah, he is come of good folk, and he beareth the signs of gentle breeding. You see him lying on yonder bed. So she turned and looked at him, and she saw something like him. But he was worn and wasted, till he had become lean as a toothpick. So his identity was doubtful to her, and she could not be certain that it was he. Yet pity for him possessed her, and she wept, saying, Verily, the stranger is unhappy, even though he be a prince in his own land. And his case was grievous to her, and her heart ached for him. Yet she knew him not to be Ghanim. Then she furnished him with wine and medicines, and she sat a while by his head, after which she mounted and returned to her palace and continued to visit every bazaar in quest of her lover. Meanwhile, Ghanim's mother and sister Fitna arrived at Baghdad and met the syndic, who carried them to Kut al-Kulub and said to her, "O princess of beneficent ladies, there came to our city this day a woman and her daughter, who are fair of favour, and signs of good breeding and dignity are apparent in them, though they be dressed in haircloth and have each one a wallet hanging to her neck, and their eyes are tearful, and their hearts are sorrowful. So I have brought them to thee, that thou mayst give them refuge and rescue them from beggary. For they are not of asker folk, and if it please Allah, we shall enter paradise through them. Thou makest me long to see them. Where are they?" cried she, adding, "Here with them to me." So he bade the eunuch bring them in, and when she looked on them and saw that they were both of distinguished beauty, she wept for them and said, "By Allah, these are people of condition and show plain signs of former opulence." "O my lady," said the syndic's wife, "we love the poor and the destitute, more especially as reward in heaven will recompense us our love. And as for those persons, haply the oppressor hath dealt hardly with them, and hath plundered their property and harried their houses." Then Ghanim's mother and sister wept with sore weeping, remembering their former prosperity and contrasting it with their present poverty and miserable condition. And their thoughts dwelt upon son and brother, whilst Kut al-Kulub wept for their weeping, and they said, "We beseech Allah to reunite us with him whom we desire, and he is none other but my son, named Ghanim bin Ayub." When Kut al-Kulub heard this, she knew them to be the mother and sister of her lover, and wept till a swoon came over her. When she revived, she turned to them and said, "Have no fear and sorrow not, for this day is the first of your prosperity and last of your adversity." And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. But of course, we are going to jump a little bit today, and we are going to read the 44th night today already for your absolute joy and pleasure. Let me just take a little sip of my grape juice. So, now, when it was the 44th night, Shahrazad said, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that when Kut al-Kulub had consoled them, she bade the syndic lead them to his house and let his wife carry them to the hammam and dress them in handsome clothes and take care of them and honour them with all honour. And she gave him a sufficient sum of money. Next day she mounted, and riding to his house, went in to his wife, who rose up and kissed his hands and thanked her for her kindness. There she saw Ghanem's mother and sister, whom the syndic's wife had taken to the hammam and clothed afresh, so that the traces of their former condition became manifest upon them. She sat talking with them a while, after which she asked the wife about the sick youth who was in her house, and she replied, "He is in the same state." Then said Kut al-Kulub, "Come, let us go and visit him." So she arose, she and the chief's wife and Ghanem's mother and sister, and went into the room where he lay and sat down near him. Presently Ghanem bin Ayub, the distraught, the thrall o' love, heard them mention the name of Kut al-Kulub, whereupon life returned to him, emaciated and withered as he was, and he raised his head from the pillow and cried aloud, "O Kut al-Kulub!" She looked at him and made certain it was he, and shrieked rather than said, "Yes, my beloved." "Draw near to me," said he, and she replied, "Surely thou art Ghanem bin Ayub." And he rejoined, "I am indeed." Hereupon a swoon came upon her, and as soon as Ghanem's mother and his sister Fitna heard their words, both cried out, "Oh, our joy!" and fainted clean away. When they all recovered, Kut al-Kulub exclaimed, "Praise be to Allah, who hath brought us together again, and who hath reunited thee with thy mother and thy sister." And she related to him all that had befallen her with the Caliph, and said, "I have made known the truth to the commander of the faithful, who believed my words and was pleased with thee, and now he desireth to see thee," adding, "He hath given me to thee." Thereat he rejoiced with extreme joy, when she said, "Quit not this place till I come back," and rising forthwith, betook herself to her palace. There she opened the chest which she had brought from Ghanem's house, and taking out some of the dinars, gave them to the syndic, saying, "Buy with this money for each of them 4 complete suits of the finest stuffs, and 20 kerchiefs, and else beside of whatsoever they require." After which she carried all 3 to the baths, and had them washed and bathed, and made ready for them consommes and galangale water and cider against their coming out. When they left the hammam, they put on the new clothes, and she abode with them 3 days, feeding them with chicken meats and bouillies, and making them drink sherbet of sugar candy. After 3 days, their spirits returned, and she carried them again to the baths, and when they came out and had changed their raiment, she led them back to the syndic's house and left them there, whilst she returned to the palace and craved permission to see the Caliph. When he ordered her to come in, she entered and kissed the ground between his hands, told him the whole story, and how her lord, Ghanem bin Ayub, clept the distraught, the thrall of love, and his mother and sister were now in Baghdad. When the Caliph heard this, he turned to the eunuchs and said, "Here with Ghanim to me." So Jafar went to fetch him, but Kut al-Kulub forewent him and told Ghanim, "The Caliph hath sent to fetch thee before him, and charged him to show readiness of tongue and firmness of heart and sweetness of speech." Then she robed him in a sumptuous dress and gave him dinars in plenty, saying, "Be lavish of largesse to the Caliph's household as thou goest into him." Presently Jafar, mounted on his Nubian mule, came to fetch him. And Ghanim advanced to welcome the wazir, and wishing him long life, kissed the ground before him. Now the star of his good fortune had risen and shone brightly, and Jafar took him, and they ceased not faring together, he and the minister, till they went in to the commander of the faithful. When he stood in the presence, he looked at the wazirs and emirs and chamberlains and viceroys and grandees and captains, and then at the Caliph. Hereupon he sweetened his speech and his eloquence, and, bowing his head to the ground, broke out in these extempore couplets. May that monarch's life span a mighty span, whose lavish of largesse all lieges scan. None other but he shall be Kaiser hight, lord of lordly hall and of haut divan. Kings lay their gems on his threshold dust, as they bow and salam to the mighty man. And his glances foil them, and all recoil, bowing beards aground and with faces wan. Yet they gain the profit of royal grace, the rank and station of high Soldan. Earth's plain is scant for thy world of men. Camp there in Kaiwan's empyrean. May the King of Kings ever hold thee dear. Be counsel thine, and right steadfast plan, till thy justice spread o'er the widespread earth, and near and the far be of equal worth. When he ended his improvisation, the Caliph was pleased by it, and marvelled at the eloquence of his tongue and the sweetness of his speech. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day, and ceased to say her permitted say. So, ladies and gentlemen, that story is still not wrapped up, and obviously there is something still to come for Ghanim and Kut. We will find out. I don't know, actually. Normally I read on a little bit, but I haven't read on into the 45th night. Saman is going to do that for you tomorrow evening. Oh, I've got a bit of shadow on my head. Saman is going to do that for you tomorrow evening, and you can find out with her what happens next and what other sumptuous and wonderful tales are in store for us all. I do love these stories. I love love. I think love, isn't love, that was my other thought, reading this today, that love is a very, very beautiful thing. And actually, even when it's painful, it's beautiful, because it arises such deep emotions in us, makes us feel so passionately and deeply about something. And that's what I thought about the romance between Ghanim and Kut, that they were so deeply in love with each other and prepared to give up so much for each other. And we've seen that. Many thanks. Double the effort. Well, as the first one, Anita, the first one was only 2.5 pages long. Not even, I don't think. It felt like I was going to be cheating a little bit if I left you after 10 minutes. So I certainly made an effort to, I thought, no, I've got to make this a longer affair for us all this evening. It is now, see? And that was exactly half an hour. So if you had stopped earlier, I think it would have been finished by 10 o'clock already. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been up since 4:30 this morning. I kid you not. My husband said to me, you of all people, because I am not a morning person, I am a night person. How on earth are you going to manage it? And I said, I will manage it. And I actually got up at 4:30 this morning, and I was at a meeting in the centre of town at 6. So I am slightly... My daddy is online, everybody. Hello, daddy. I hope you're well. Can everyone send a heart and a hello to my daddy? He's just joined us, or he was already watching. I don't know. Anyway, I am going to love and leave you. Oh, thank you for the heart. I am going to love and leave you already. Saman is going to be on tomorrow for your pleasure at 21:45. Thank you very much for the hearts. I don't know what's going to happen on Thursday, actually, because actually exciting news. I'm going to be in a filming all day. I'm being a model. How exciting news is that? For a fashion label. So we're doing a special promo video. I don't know, just want to say video anymore. It always feels these days like video is such an antiquated word. Anyway, so I am going to be having a really exciting time on Thursday at the Hotel Kempinski in Vienna on a photo shoot from 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I assume I'll be finished on time and not too tired to read for you. If not, Saman definitely will. It was an absolute pleasure. I always say that, but it is always absolutely true that it was an absolute pleasure reading for you this evening. We still have to sort out Sam coming in and reading for us again and making up for that little technical hitch he had. But I know he's very busy. I am also very busy. And please, please, please keep all of everything that you have crossed, that the next show that I am planning to put on in September and all the shows after that I have in my head and that I've spoken to people about do actually happen. So if you want to send some good vibes for wonderful theatre to happen with Vienna Theatre Project next season, and also Art for Charity, by the way, because I also work very closely with Jeanette Meinl on Art for Charity, and they do these wonderful, the moment we started off, well, for a long time already now, actually, once a year, they have, Art for Charity has been doing a farce, typically, or a comedy, and all the proceeds go to a charity. Last year, or this year, actually, what date did it? December. Anyway, so last year, end of last year, or beginning of this year, excuse me, the proceeds from, which was 10,000 euros, went to an organisation, his name I can't remember right now, but it enables children from disadvantaged families that are unfortunately poor, to be able to go to music lessons. Okay, so it was a charity that enabled young children to be able to take music lessons who couldn't otherwise afford them. And before that, they've paid for ambulances and old age people's homes and all sorts of UNICEF as well has been one of their things. So Art for Charity and Vienna Theatre Project are planning to do some wonderful shows next year. Keep everything crossed, because at the moment we're in the planning process and applying for rights and all sorts. And really, if I can get the first show that I want to get and the cast that I want to get, it's just going to be absolutely awesome to open the Theater Drachengasse season in 2020. So, everything crossed, everybody, okay? I don't know whether you can all read what Dylan just wrote. Thank you very much. That's I'm blushing. That's very kind. Yeah, I feel hot at the moment. Well, thank you very, very much. I have to fix my hair now, having said that. I feel like I should sort of, look at my little mirror here going on. And may the force... Thank you, Anisha. Yes, may the force be with VTP. Actually, do you know what? Can I just say something? Thank you for mentioning that, Anita, because it's been really bugging me all day long. Yesterday, I got a copy of the last Star Wars. And I don't know if any of you are Star Wars freaks, or the other one is Lord of the Rings, right? There are two things in both of those, well, in the book of Lord of the Rings, which I always thought, actually, when I first read that book, when I was like 12 years old or something, or 13, and I first read Lord of the Rings, I thought... Hold on a minute. And I just felt exactly the same thing in Star Wars yesterday. Because have you ever noticed, since Return of the Jedi, I don't know, since Return of the Jedi, I do remember that film. All the old dead Jedi keep popping up, right? And giving wise words. And in this one, in the final episode, they not only popped up, but I assume he was a dead Luke Skywalker, actually managed to raise a spaceship. So if all these ex-dead Jedi can raise spaceships, why didn't they just come straight away in the very first Star Wars, which I think was A New Hope, and save the world then with all their Jedi magic? So that really bothered me today. And by the way, it's exactly the same in Lord of the Rings. If you were a Lord of the Rings fan, the eagles were also in The Hobbit. Why didn't the eagles just dump Frodo on their back and fly all the way to Mordor and drop that ring in? It would have saved us 1,000 pages of a very beautiful story. But that was my other... After sand and deserts and love and the beauty of the Middle East and thinking how wonderful all the Middle Eastern people I've ever met are, that was my other big intelligent thought of the day. And on that very intelligent intellectual note, I am going to leave you and wish you the most wonderful day, if it's still morning wherever you are, evening and night if you are on Central European time, or wherever you are in the world and it is nighttime. I hope you have a fantastic evening. I'm going to finish off my grape juice and go and stroke my dog and blow out my beautiful candles here in the corner, and then pray that it rains. I have a balcony, and I bought plants for my balcony, and this is a real test for me because I have no green fingers whatsoever. I can't sew, and I can't keep plants alive. And it was supposed to rain, and it didn't rain, so I have to go and water my plants. Everybody, good night. God bless. Have a wonderful evening. Many salams. Salam alaikum. Bye-bye, everybody.